Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast on a Monday night. It must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane livestream. James, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. We've been kind of on bye week a little bit on Eric's side of things. One time it was human stuff
Total
happens,
human error. Yeah.
and that's so we chalked that one up. But last week another thing happened to Eric, and this time there's nothing you could do.
No, I got COVID.
So
I got it,
yeah,
and Monday night I could barely sit up. I was like, I'm just gonna stay horizontal, James. I guess I could have like
yeah.
turned my laptop on the
Yeah.
side and
We
like
were
done
we
it
were
that
we were thinking
way.
about logistics. Like,
Yeah.
can we still do a live stream
Right,
while
right.
co-sitting Eric
It's
and I
like
just draw?
I might just fall asleep. I'm not gonna make any promises.
Yeah.
But in the end, ultimately, we decided the the hurdles, the logistics of doing it were too high, and so I just went to bed at like 9:30 on
And so
last
for
Monday.
Yeah, and so for all of our tens of viewers out there, we don't update Facebook that much because I think Eric and I both hate it so much. So we apologize in advance that we don't really give
No,
notice that we are. But
no, yeah,
if we're not on Mondays, we will apologize the next week. More likely than not. I
yeah.
don't see why we would not do that. So
Generally speaking, if we're not live by about 9:35, we're not going to be live. So you have like a 5 minute
yeah,
window, and then
yeah,
you can
yeah,
assume that we're not going to be on at that
yeah.
point. We try to be
But
consistent, but life gets in the way sometimes.
So yeah, but to follow up the question, you were asking me how I was doing.
Yes.
It's really your side of things where I have to ask you how you
I
are
mean,
doing now,
I'm
1 week
doing
out.
fine now. My sinuses are still a little fucked up. Excuse me, as you can hear, I'm sure. And I'm still only got like 50% of my taste and smell back, which is frustrating that is a symptom of this disease.
Man,
But
I thought by now with how it's gone to B5, whatever it's called now, that they would have kind of phased out, deprecated some of the features of COVID. But no, good old fashioned lack of smell and taste is still there,
it's
huh?
just
I
what it
mean, some
does. I
people.
mean, it's I guess all things considered, the fact that it's a milder disease that less people are dying from. If I had to
Yeah,
choose between symptoms, I guess I'd choose
yeah,
a milder disease. But yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not a huge foodie, right?
hmm
Um,
yeah, sure. But
but
it is one of our
nonetheless,
five senses.
yeah,
It's fun to
exactly. Now
enjoy.
all of a
It's fun to
sudden,
enjoy a McDonald's
no,
cheeseburger late
it's
at
two
night
of the
at 2
five. It's
a.m.
two of the
Yeah.
five, right?
Oh, yeah, 2 of the 5. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
So,
40% of your senses are gone.
yeah.
Um, so it's frustrating. I've had a couple of friends who didn't have smell or taste for months.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I'm hoping that that's not the case for me. But I mean, I don't
So
have any.
you say you have 40% of your smell back, you said?
Yeah, I'm 40 to 50%. It's weird. It comes and it goes. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm fine now, and then I'm like, no, wait, now I can't taste anything again. So I mean, like, I don't know. It's really weird. I can't fully explain it, and I'm wondering how much of it might be like psychological. You know?
So, okay. So like let's say you have an orange. Like that's a really
Yeah,
potent taste. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Like,
yeah,
can you like actually jumpstart it and by
yeah.
forcing like really high potent tastes?
I've got this eucalyptus essential oils,
Okay.
and yeah, I can smell it when I like hold it right up to that. But I don't know if you know about essential oils are highly concentrated smells, right?
Okay. All right.
I should be able to like smell it from back here,
Oh,
but
okay.
if
All
I
right. And that's your measuring stick.
that's
Okay.
kind of my measuring stick right now. It's still like I have to hold it right up to my nose to smell anything.
So
Um,
last week you couldn't even do that though. You couldn't
no,
smell
I couldn't
nothing.
smell anything. Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
So
Oh
it was
man.
just
Sorry,
gone.
man.
It is. It's a weird symptom, man. It is a very strange symptom.
Jeez.
But
Oh,
I'm powerless, as in most things in life, to do anything about it. So you just kind of
I'm
have to
sure.
roll with the punches and move on. You know.
What about other things like brain fogs? Like you're already so you start working like the 2 days after you got sick, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, the brain fog wasn't that bad. It was.
Mhm.
I know some people like they just can't think at all. Like I've heard
That's
that.
crazy.
I didn't have that. I had fatigue. I just wanted to
Hmm.
sleep for like the first 3 days, but by Thursday I was back at work.
Hmm.
I mean, I did a half day on Friday because the fatigue had like a one last round, one last dance, right? But I worked a day and a half last week, towards the end of the week, and then
Mm-hmm.
by Saturday I was fine, right? Like,
And
I
now you
woke
just
up,
have these annoying.
and now I just have now I just have the congestion and the senses thing. But the fatigue's gone, the body aches are gone. I never had a fever, so yeah.
Well, glad to see you back, and glad to see you upright. So that
Yeah,
part's all
no, I
good.
know.
So,
If I
yeah.
pass out suddenly, it's not COVID, it's a stroke.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, let's
Knock
get
on,
off this
yeah.
dark stuff. Why don't we just change something? Go to something hopefully
Well,
happier, like
while I was sick, I played a lot of Monster Hunter, and I
oh,
rewatched season 1 and 2 of The Boys.
oh, okay.
And that was fun. I forgot how much I liked that show. I mean, I like season 3 a lot, but I forgot how strong it was just right out of the gate.
Yeah, season 1 and 2 are terrific seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, season 3 is great too. I mean, we talked about this offline a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed in the finale of season 3, but whatever. It's still a great show. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still wide on board. I think it's great. You're reading the books, right? You're reading an omnibus of the first.
Yeah, I bought the
collection
first 2. I bought the second one while I was sick, and I'm like, I'm just going to lay here and read this.
Mhm.
So I've read both the first 2 volumes. It's interesting the tack that they're choosing. Like with Umbrella Academy and Game of Thrones and some of these other adaptations, they're very, very deferential to the source material.
Mhm.
They tend to just remake the source material with a few changes here and there for the medium that they're adapting to. But with The Boys, they took the interesting tact of sort of cherry picking storylines and cherry picking character traits and attributes, and then sort of just remixing them. Right? The Boys, the TV show, is very much a remix of the comic book, where you'll see things that are very familiar. For instance, how Robin dies in the comic book is exactly how she dies at the beginning of the season, which is what sets Huey off on this journey, right?
Yeah.
That happens exactly the same way, right? But like there's whole storylines in the comic book that have been completely abandoned for the TV show, and things that are happening like 20 issues in the comic book are like taking place in season 1, right? They have the 2 teams, Payback and the 7, but in the TV show, Payback is more like the Justice Society is to the Justice League, right?
Yeah,
it was the precursor to right. But in the book, they're contemporary teams. They exist at the same time, right? The notion of Compound V in the book is known right from the beginning. And in fact, when Huey joins the team, Butcher injects him with Compound V.
Wow, just right off the bat. Huh?
Yeah, they're all superpowered in the comic book. Like,
Butcher's right off the bat. He's superpowered.
Right. Everybody's superpowered. Yeah, Butcher and MM. In fact, it turns out MM was born with it. He inherited it from his mother. So MM is a soup in the book. And Huey and Butcher injected themselves with it. It's unclear whether Frenchie and, as she's called in the comic book, the female, were injected with it, or if they're naturally soups. They haven't really gone into it. But suffice it to say, they're all superpowered in the books.
That's interesting.
And it's something I like more about the TV show, sort of the man against God aspect of the TV show.
I'm surprised to hear that. I didn't know that they actually. That's a pretty big departure.
Yeah, it's a big departure. Yeah.
But it works. It works really well.
Yeah, it does, and it changes. It doesn't undermine, but it changes the commentary. In the TV show, because they don't use it, it really is this David and Goliath kind of story. Whereas in the book, because they do use it, it sort of raises the ethical and moral question of, are these guys really the ones we should be rooting for, right? Because they're taking out these soups, but really by all metrics, they are soups as well. The only difference is they're not hedonists and completely amoral like the regular soups are, right? But then the way Huey and Annie meet is exactly the same, right? They just happen to meet each other on a park bench, right? So it's really interesting. I actually really like it. I like the fact that they've sort of cherry picked these moments that we think, yeah, this will adapt well for the TV show. This not so much. And sort of just completely remixing the fiction into something that works extremely well for a TV show. It's a sign of a good writing team, honestly, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because they really are creating their own world for TV. Whereas the writers of Umbrella Academy, I fear that when they ran out of source material, they ran out of ideas. And we know that this happened with Game of Thrones, right?
Yep, yeah.
So
funny. You see that more often than not. It seems like the writers, if you're not to disparage TV writing, but if you don't, if you're using source material and you're just off on your own, then and you haven't spent any time mulling it around in your brain in that way, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
You make up. Yeah.
So, in any case, I didn't know this. The guy who created The Boys created Supernatural as well.
Oh, really?
Eric Kripke. Yeah, I had no idea. So.
Wait. Is he the writer of the comic book, or is he the showrunner of the Boys?
The showrunner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So.
All right. Cool.
Anyway, that was a heck of an intro. 15-minute long intro. What are we going to be looking at tonight?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess I should just share screen and kind of doodle while we're talking here. I will be back to this. I am doing those mouth packs, those pesky mouth packs.
Yes,
I wasn't happy with
from the
Yeah. I was gonna try to work on this a little bit between our streams, but I've been working on other stuff with Calamity Jane. That you and I are working on kind of on the side that's been taking up my time. But now I'm kind of back into the cartoon aspect of our production. So yeah, there hasn't been much progress since the last time. So I'll be doing that tonight and kind of kickstarting it again.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, but let's see here. Going back to the Boys. See, one thing I always feel like I don't know whether we should do this or not for streams, but we do put in our subject line what we talk about in our streams, right?
Yeah.
We talk about, we're talking about Boys this week, but that does, is it a given to say that we're giving spoilers out? Like let's say somebody hasn't watched The Boys. I feel bad if we spoil the experience for somebody who wants to watch it, raw and experience all the fun of the show.
Sure.
But I don't know, but then again, we're a YouTube, everybody streams on YouTube and talks about stuff, so it's not like they put spoiler alerts around, left and right. I don't know.
Yeah,
Your thoughts?
At my job, one of two things. If it's like a brand new show, we'll do a spoiler warning, right? Warning, spoilers ahead. And I could certainly write that in the description. But honestly, too, after a certain point, a week or so after the episode or the season is premiered, we just don't care anymore, right? We assume that if you want to watch it, you can watch it, and that's about all there is to it. Personally, in general, I've never been someone who cares all that much about spoilers, which has gotten me into trouble. Because I know most people do care about spoilers.
Yeah, most people do. You're one of my rare friends that just doesn't care. It's like but teach their own.
No judgments one way or the other, but it does get me in trouble from time to time because I don't think about it. It just doesn't bother me, and there's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, no, it's in terms of the book. Everything that I'm talking about in the comic books has been out since the book. I think
forever.
Like 2007, right? So
15
years ago. So I'm not, in terms of the statute of limitation on spoilers, that's long since passed for the comic book.
And I think that's our magic get out of jail free card, because we do have statute of limitations to kind of help us out a little bit. Something's been out for a while, etc.
I think so.
You've talked me off the ledge. I'm good now.
All right.
Now, with all that said, now I don't know. Okay, since you don't care about spoilers, I'm going to release one here. I can't remember if we talked about this or not, but Black Noir in the show. I happened to do a Google search on him. I can't remember if I was looking at the actor or what. But then I saw a spoiler about Black Noir, and I don't know if you've got to that point in the book.
I haven't, but I do know what the spoiler is.
Yeah, okay, so we talked about this. So they changed that a lot, right, compared to the TV show, I would imagine, if that's really the case. So the the spoiler is in the comic book. I guess Black Noir is a clone or
Yeah.
just another brother of.
No,
Highlander,
he's a
right?
clone of
Oh, he's a clone.
Homelander.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a
Well,
clone of
yeah,
Homelander.
not Highlander. Homelander. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and frankly, this is another way that the show, in my opinion, is better than the book. I mean, I haven't gotten to that storyline yet, so once I get to it, maybe I'll change my mind. But I think what they did with Black Noir in the show is far more compelling, especially the reveal of his backstory in season 3, than Black Noir just being a clone of Homelander like he is in the comic book. So,
yeah, I mean, definitely adds a little different dimension to him. I mean, I kept thinking like, okay, if I'm reading the comic book, how would I feel about what their handling of it? And it's really cool. But and you and I both were in agreement here. They revealed them too late, just to pretty much off them. It's like,
I agree. Yeah. No, I really loved his psychosis where he sees these cartoon characters in his brain, and that would have been an awesome thing to see earlier in the season.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess
early in the series, rather.
Yeah, I guess now the question is like, what are they gonna do with next season? I'm very curious because for what you're saying, if they are all soups in the comic book, then I guess it's a permanent thing. Then
well, I mean,
they'll figure that out, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they added the interesting thing again, something I like. The fact that taking Temp V gives you cancer, right? In the show. So Huey's done with it, Annie saved him in that regard. Well, Butcher did too, I guess, kind of. But Butcher, he's already gotten that death sentence, right? Yeah. So I'm curious where they're going to go with it, because obviously they're not going to write Carl Urban out of the show. He is the show. He is the show.
Yeah.
I am wondering, and if it doesn't show up next season, I'm sure it will show up if the show continues. There's a really fun storyline in the books called I don't remember what the name of the storyline is, but it involves a series of teams revolving around a central team called the G-Men. Now, this is an obvious reference to the X-Men, and the peak popularity of the X-Men. You remember there was X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, Excalibur, the New Mutants, yada, yada, yada. Well, it's the same thing in the boys. There's the G-Men, the G-Wiz, G-Style, G-Coast. So there's a million of these different G-Brits, right? So there's even the British one. And so
wow, really? That's so funny. So out of Excalibur.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And so this storyline involves those characters, those soups, right? And how the boys deal with them and ultimately take them down. And I would imagine, because I've been reading on the internet, and I think the general feeling from the denizens of the internet is that Homelander is great, but like, where are you going to go from here with this character, right? And assuming that they need to move on from Homelander as is, I could see them moving into the G-Man territory, right? I don't remember I have to get the book off the top of my head, but the Professor X figure who's the head of all of these teams, I could see him becoming a major antagonist if they choose to go in that direction.
All right. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to see that. But yeah, so it sounds like they have plenty of material to go with past Homelander. So here's something else too. Now you just got done watching season 1 and 2, so these are probably more fresh in your mind. Do you notice there's a couple of scenes where there's a loud fly that kind of flies into the scene?
Yeah, I remember. No, it doesn't go anywhere as far as I'm aware, and it's not in the comic books at all. I know. Okay. I remember seeing that going, is this going somewhere? Is this like...
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know, maybe it's some sort of long con, right? Maybe in season 4, it's just like, hey, remember that fly that randomly appeared in 2 scenes that we added that Foley to so you could hear it?
Yeah.
Or that sound effect, that's Foley, that sound effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Okay, so I'm glad you caught it because like I was
yeah.
like, is it just me or is there something about these flies that
No,
they're
there's
trying to draw attention to? You
yeah,
know?
there's two scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and if they hadn't mattered, if they were just happened to be in the scene in the moment, you would think that they just wouldn't have added any sound effects. But the fact that they, because there's no way the microphone picked up those flies,
Yeah, yeah,
so they
exactly.
this
And
is a sound effect that they added in
yeah,
post.
yes, yeah. It's bizarre to me. So yeah, I was wondering if you caught anything in the comic book. So that one I don't want to spoiler it that bad,
No,
but to me it's like
thus
it felt like what is this, some sort of like drone bug master guy
yeah,
that was
that's what
spying on
it's got to be
everybody?
like a soup, right? Like yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. Um, I don't know. And I'm through issue. I think the first two omnibus buses cover. I think through issue 30.
Okay.
Um, so I'm 30 issues in at this point, and there's been no like fly character that
Okay.
one way or the other. So I don't know. To this point, at least, it was just a weird thing that the sound effect artists decided to do.
Wow. Okay. Well, cool. I guess. I'm hoping it is a long con because they could really run with that if they
Yeah,
wanted to,
yeah.
and if they're taking liberties anyway, why not? But yeah. But I didn't notice it as much in season 2 or 3, anything like that. So it could have been just a weird inside joke thing, maybe with the crew. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They certainly didn't. I mean, it was only in season one, and there
Yeah.
wasn't any of those fly sound effects in season two or season three. So I mean, unless it's a really really deep long con, and both of the scenes where those flies shows up weren't in particularly important
No.
narrative scenes, right?
Mm-mm.
So I think
Yeah.
it was just the sound designers
Just a
decided
weird.
to
Yeah.
have fun. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Trying to think what else. As far as the boys, yeah. So we're caught up. My wife and I watched those, and they're really good. And then we're watching Resident Alien. I know you don't have sci-fi, so there's no point in talking about that right now. But eventually, one of these days, and that's based on Dark Horse comic book as well.
oh, it did interesting. I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know it until I watched the credits. It's like, oh, based on a Dark Horse comic. So yeah, Dark Horse is kind of, they're kind of reaping the benefits of doing these really weird off color type stories and stuff like that. It's kind of neat to see that.
Yeah, I mean, like, The Boys is Dynamite. The Invincible cartoon, Invincible was from Image. Doom
Uh-huh.
Patrol is DC. Umbrella Academy is Dark Horse. Hellboy is Dark Horse. Resident Alien is Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I'd say that they're number 3 after Marvel and DC at this point.
Just like in real life.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, but it's good. I'm glad to see that because they have some really fun stories on their side of the world. So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the I was going to talk to you about this. So there's a game on sale right now on the eShop. But I don't know if you have any appetite for a Metroidvania game, but I'm playing a game called Blasphemous. Blasphemous.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's actually not bad.
Yeah.
It's on sale for like $7, something like that, with tax or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good game considering it's a small little. I'm assuming a small little indie studio that did it.
Sure.
But it's not bad. It's good. I didn't think I was gonna like it at first, but because I thought it was gonna try to be too Dark Soulsy, but it's not. The basic mechanic is anytime you have your health meter, and then you also have your magic meter. Any place that you die, you still retain all your coinage that your XP or your coins, your currency, so you can buy stuff as you go. But if you die in a certain part of the map, whatever, anywhere you die, you leave a remnant of your magic meter there, and you have to go back and pick up that. So you don't lose any of you don't lose anything else but the benefit of using magic. So you have to go back and try to recollect it, or you can absolve yourself of your quote unquote sins for dying in that spot at a certain statue and get everything back by paying through your currency. But I like the general feel of the game. It is kind of, it's not, I don't know, like there's the trendy dark, kind of a thing that I think that I've talked about before, where it's purposely trying to be dark. This game's a little bit, it is dark, but it's dark, but in the sunlight. I don't know how to
Hmm.
really describe it. It's really they have their own take on a religious, an over just like macro religion type of thing that this character is operating through. But it's very graphic. I mean, there's nudity, there's blood, but it's not like depressing. It's just sort of like just even keeled. You go through the game, you're not depressed, you're not anything. You're just playing it. At least that's how I felt about it. But yeah, I mean, for a for a, I don't know, a mug of beer, you could get this game, and it might give you some entertainment value for a couple hours, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw it, and yeah, when you read in the description Souls like, and I immediately just like, nope, I just write it off, right?
yeah. I gotta say, I think Souls like actually hurts it because I mean, there's a lot of people that think it's going to be purposely hard. It's not. Um, if you play Mega Man, any of the Mega Mans, those games are harder than this game.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. It's not that bad. It's a good game. So I'm just putting a shout out for that game out there.
Yeah, I see that one go
what
on
I'm
sale
busy.
all the time, so
Mhm.
I'm sure I'll pick it up. Right now, I'm obviously deep into
Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter Land. I've already put something like 30, 40 hours into the new expansion, and I'm not even at the final boss yet. Um,
And and then how many hours do you think the DLC is? I mean, well,
well,
what you're doing there.
I'm 40 hours in, and I guess I could have, if I was really trying, I could have powered through it pretty fast.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, but you want to
but
enjoy it, I'm assuming.
yeah. So I'm like making sure I get better armor, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing around with a bunch of different weapons, right? I know how to use pretty effectively gun lance and the charge blade and the insect
Mm-hmm.
glaive and the bow, right? And so just enjoying bouncing around between those four weapons and building armor pieces for all those, you know, um, tools. So yeah, I mean, I'm taking a leisurely pace through it. So I've been playing about 40 hours, like I said, at this point. And if I keep going at this pace, I would think about another 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about right, given that I spent about 200 hours on the base game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So another 60 hours is, I guess, it's a sizable expansion, right?
Yeah.
They've added uh, two or three brand new monsters, new variants on pre-existing monsters, and then they brought back some old monsters like the Astalos and the a couple of other ones that are escaping me presently for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a lot of new creatures, two new environments, which are honestly the two best in the entire game. Um, and yeah, a whole new story mode, tons of new armor, tons of new weapons, lots of new mechanics, lots of new quality of life stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, just all in all, a really great addition to the Monster Hunter Rise experience. So yeah,
So I can't remember. Did you say this is your favorite version of Monster Hunter?
it
This latest
is.
one?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I know it's like it feels weird to say that the latest iteration is my favorite one of all time, right?
Mm-hmm. But that's where you're at, huh?
But that's kind of where I'm at right now. I mean, in terms of playability, in terms of feature set, monster variety, environment variety, quality of life stuff, it's just the most polished, the most fun I've had in Monster Hunter, period.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'd say the second best is, for me personally, is Monster Hunter 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, but that was, that came out, good lord, a while ago now. um,
Mm-hmm.
Monster Hunter 4 release date. Hold on, I'm gonna check just to make myself feel old. Hunter 4 release date. Yeah, 2013.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Never mind. The Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which is the one that came to the United States, that came out in 2014. So,
Okay.
but still, a minute ago, like almost 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago currently. Um, so and I've been playing Monster Hunter since 2012, maybe even
Yeah.
2011. I think 2012. So I've been playing Monster Hunter for a good decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing, and I feel like we've been down this road multiple times, but I've been playing since Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and then have just never stopped. And frankly, Monster Hunter Rise is my favorite. I mean, just for all the reasons that I previously stated.
Mhm.
So I'll be playing it for a while, a little bit longer. I'm getting into the really, really hard, tough monsters now, so I'm, focusing on building armor sets that can take them on and whatnot.
And you're not playing. Are you playing online, or are you just doing solo? Everything
I'm
solo right
I'm
now?
doing it solo right now. Interestingly, the base game they have a separate single player quest list and a multiplayer quest list, and the single player quest list tends to be slightly easier than the multiplayer quest list.
Hmm.
But for the expansion, it's all almost every mission can be played online. So
Okay.
I have been playing them solo to this point, um, but there's no reason why I can't, other than playing it solo. I don't feel an obligation to stick with the team for a while. I can just do one hunt and hop off.
Mhm.
And this is completely me. But when I play online, I feel obligated to do at least 4 hunts, one for everybody, in the room, right? So
Mhm.
everybody has a chance to pick what they want to play. It's a
Mhm.
self-imposed requirement, but nonetheless, I do it to myself. So to this point, I've just been hunting alone. But as these monsters get more and more difficult, I might need to start hopping into rooms and playing with other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are your friends? Any of your other friends playing it?
No, I mean yes, but they're kind of like old friends that I haven't spoken to in a long time, and I see them
Oh, okay.
online,
Yeah.
and I'm not
Yeah.
reaching out to them. They're not reaching out to me. You
And they're
know,
playing it.
they are playing it. Yeah,
Hmm.
my one friend who I used to play with all the time, who I actually taught how to play,
Hmm.
he, I thought he was going to play it, but he's just so busy with his job. He's still in the games industry, so
Yeah.
he just never really has any free time. And
Hmm.
it's possible too. He's sort of drifted away from Monster Hunter,
Hmm.
So
Yeah. It's kind of like we were talking about before. Like, there's so many games now that can
hmm
take your attention away that it's yeah, it's perfect time to be into games for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and speaking of, I would recommend. You can probably find the demo on Steam as well, but it's definitely on Switch. they there's a JRPG that was originally released on the Super Nintendo,
Uh huh.
like 20 years ago. Um, More, I guess, actually, because it was 90 something. So yeah, like a long time ago, like nearly 30 years actually. Oh God. Um, Called Live Alive, and they remastered it using this new art style that they started doing with like Octopath Traveler,
Uh huh.
where everything kind of looks like it's 2D, but it's all rendered in 3D. So they call it what is it 2D 3 or 2D HD, I think is what Square Enix calls it.
Mm.
But it's really cool. It's really interesting. I played the demo, but I like the demo enough that when it goes on sale, I'll definitely pick it up. But there's like 8 characters, each with their own unique storyline that ultimately comes together after you play through each of the individual storylines.
Hmm.
And even though they all have similar like JRPG mechanics, they play out very differently. So in one storyline, there's no combat at all. It's almost like a visual novel. In another storyline, your character already starts off at max level. In another storyline, your character can choose to fight, or because he's a ninja, can choose to try to stealth your way through the entire story. Then there's others that are more traditional, like just regular JRPG mechanics. But it's a really interesting experiment playing with a lot of the archetypes and tropes of JRPGs.
Mm.
Um, and the battle system is actually really interesting. It's on a grid instead of in a line, and
Mhm.
so there is this element of turn-based strategy that comes into it. Even though you can move around in real time, your attacks all have different ranges and areas of effect.
Mhm.
It's really cool. I really enjoy it. There's no MP or anything like that. Everything's just based on a timer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all about positioning and leveraging your attacks in the most effective way.
Mm-hmm.
But the demo lets you play like the first 20 minutes of 3 of the chapters. And I was pretty hooked. And in fact, they encourage you to, like, take a break, play around with some of the other storylines for a little bit, right? It's very episodic in that way.
So, okay, so you said this is Octopath Traveler?
No, this is Live Alive.
Live Alive. Okay.
But it uses the same visual style as Octopath Traveler.
So yeah, so just a side note, I took my headphones off because everything, like my computer just glitched out. So when you were talking to me, I heard Octopath Traveler, and all of a sudden everything just went silent. Okay, so I took it off, but like everything kicked into. Now I'm just using my.
Yeah. So yeah, Live Alive is the game.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think words of Live Alive, but I haven't. Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, but that's
it's the first time it's been released in the West. So this isn't something that you can't relive it unless you imported it from Japan.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, once it goes on sale, and I mean, obviously, I'm not going to buy it right now because I'm knee deep in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
But I'll eventually get through Monster Hunter, and and when it goes on sale, I'll definitely pick it up. I know Xenoblade Chronicles 3 comes out on Friday, but I'm gonna hold off on that until I chew through Monster Hunter Sunbreak. But Xenoblade 3 will probably be what I pick up next.
So you played the first 2, right?
I played the first 3. There was one on the Wii U called Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh.
That was actually a prequel. It's the origin story. So, like, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 are parallel storylines in alternate dimensions.
Uh-huh.
And Xenoblade Chronicles X is the origin story that explains how those 2 realities split. And in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, apparently the realities have merged back into one continuity. And so this is, like, what happens once the realities remerge.
Wow.
Like, this is the story that occurs after those 3 realities have merged, or those 2 realities have merged.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, this is a series I've been playing since the Wii, because, the first Xenoblade Chronicles came out on the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And I've put over 100 hours in each one of these games, so I'm well over 300 hours deep into this series.
Yeah, something about the term JRPG is daunting to me now these days. I just don't know if I want to. I don't know if I can get caught up in reading the textual stories about everything, and getting caught up in because there's extra. It feels like there's just extra drama to sort through with each character, and I don't know if I want to do that. I just want to go and mash things, and go boom on things, But then there's some really good ones that are just that I know I'm probably missing out on. And Xenoblade seems like one of those type of games where a lot of people have there's a lot of fandom around those.
Yeah. It was a surprise hit. I mean, Nintendo almost didn't bring it to the States, and they did, but released it exclusively at GameStop because they had so little confidence that it would find an audience. They didn't want to print a bunch, send them out to every retailer in the States, only to have them all get sent back to them, right?
Yeah.
And then it was a hit. Like, it was a huge hit for a small release, a limited release that was only in one retailer. It was a huge hit, and so the result of that, there were 2 other RPGs. The Last Story and the Tower of Pandora. I'm forgetting the title now. One of them was done by the Last Story was done by Hironobu Sakaguchi. Oh, looks like everything got connected again.
Yeah, it's something kind of really bad.
Yeah. Anyway, one of them was done by Hironobu Sakaguchi, and the other one, I'm so frustrated that I can't remember the title right now. Both are really interesting. The only one that really, really grabbed me and hooked me, though, was Xenoblade Chronicles. I like The Last Story, and I like the third one, whose name I can't even remember right now. They were both had really, really interesting ideas, but they just didn't suck me in the way Xenoblade Chronicles did. And a lot of it has to do with I really like the battle mechanics,
Hmm.
and I really love the expansive world. Like those two things really, really appealed to me. I mean, the story, who cares? It's the same usual JRPG tropey nonsense, right?
Hmm.
Main character has amnesia. Turns out he was bred to be a god killer, and ultimately he goes and kills God, but not because someone told him to kill God, but because he chose to kill God. Right? I mean, it's just the standard JRPG storyline.
Yeah.
But the world was really compelling, and the battle system was really entertaining, and that has remained the case for all three of the games to
Oh,
this
so
point.
they haven't tweaked the battle system that much. They've kept it kind of pretty traditional in that way with
Yeah.
their game.
Yeah, the battle system changes a little bit per game, just like Monster Hunter. They tweak the
Yeah.
mechanics here and there. They add new features here and there. But for the most part, yeah, I mean the battle system stays pretty consistent, and I really enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, one of these days yeah, I mean, maybe I'll try to watch some things online, stuff like that. But those are 100-hour games easily.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if you powered through the main story, you could probably get through it in 60. But they're balanced with the assumption that you're going to do, side quests and all that jazz, and so it's
Okay.
going to put you at 100 hours or more if you really want to get through it without really making your life difficult.
Okay.
And again, it's because it's a JRPG, right? Like the last dungeon and the last boss are impossible, right?
Oh, okay.
They're designed to punish you because
Yeah.
that's what apparently you're supposed to do in video games, and that's never changed. It's always been a thing.
Mhm.
So, it's just one of those things where you got to prepare for the last battle. I mean, I beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I got every character up to level 99 before I
Oh,
did it.
jeez. Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's pretty. That's intense. I don't know, and I don't know if I pay. Like, I just got done playing Elden Ring, about a month or two ago, and I put 300 hours into that. Just don't know if I want to do that right now.
yeah, it's, I hear you. I mean, I've put over 200 and some hours, well over 200 hours in Monster Hunter Rise at this point, but the difference is it's all chunks.
Yep.
It's in 20-minute chunks, right? And
Mhm.
there's no real. I mean, there's a story, but it's like approximately 5% of the overall game.
Yeah. But,
Um, yeah,
yeah, with Elden, yeah, and I get that because yeah, you sign up for your mission, you do your goal, and you're done. Elden Ring, you wander around, so you can get distracted. You have a goal, and all of a sudden, it's because it's open world. Oh, look at that weird looking rock over there, and then the giant troll thing comes out and attacks you, and you want to get your souls back.
right.
So, yeah, that's why. And then and I just got done beating Bayonetta 2. That was fun. Like, so that's the thing. Like, if I'm playing these longer games, I don't get a chance to play these really really beautiful short games like Bayonetta 2. Like, there's like
Hmm.
4 hour games like that. It's great all the way through, start to finish. But yeah, that's the thing. It's FOMO either way. You can't win either way because then you do miss out on good games like Xenoblade probably. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to pick and choose, right? I mean, we've talked about this at length. There's only so much time,
yeah,
Time is finite, and you have to pick your
yeah.
battles, right?
I'm definitely not 10 years old where I can sit down and play Metroid through my chicken pox and
Yeah, I mean, I had that luxury catching COVID last week, and I have paid time off, so I just, took a bunch of paid time off. But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to catch COVID regularly just to play Monster Hunter. I prefer to work, so.
Yeah, exactly. Um, well, as far as I mean, I know we're kind of running up on we kind of got over. It's kind of surprising here.
Well, we weren't here last week, so
Yeah,
a
it's kind of
supersized episode. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. Um, I'm in an okay spot. I'm still not happy with his mouth pack, but I've laid out what I've done tonight was I laid out a lot of the key moments. You'll see on the left side here where my
Mm-hmm.
arrow's at. Like here's the basic mouth pack, 3/4 front. So I'm using that as my kind of my map to make sure I get the major poses
Mm-hmm.
for behind 3/4 behind view. So I hit those tonight, but I'm still not happy because I need to incorporate this line for her mouth line. I want to get that in there, and it's not playing nice with me tonight because I'm trying to figure that out still, and that's part of the fun and part of the frustration of doing animation And mouth patches. You got to try to make it look consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. If it just
Yeah.
looks completely random, then it looks completely random. I mean, you get what you do.
Yeah. But yeah, but I do have a roadmap, so I'll keep going. We'll see where we're at. What we do next week. May will still be here. I don't know for sure. I might try to tackle this weekend instead.
Okay,
Still, but yeah, so that's where we're at.
sounds good. All right, well, I guess we'll call it quits on this supersized episode. Thanks for watching this after the fact, y'all. Always be sure to check in with Twitter. We're still doing our 3-tweet stories. Those come out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. At Jane Salamander is our Twitter handle. We're posting again on Facebook, but we're mostly just posting the link to the Monday night streams. Maybe one day we'll use it for more than that, but not right now. Neither one of us get on Facebook at all, unfortunately. But really, where you should go is not unfortunately. I mean, neither one of us like Facebook, so we don't spend any time on there. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Old man shouting at clouds right now. The main place we want you to go to, though, is calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon page, where we encourage you to become a subscriber and join us on this insane journey that we're on, making this crazy cartoon. And as always, hopefully, unless James catches COVID next week or there's another holiday that makes me forget that I have obligations, not obligations, but responsibilities, we will be here on Monday. So stay safe out there, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye. All.
All right.